What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow, so today we are back going to be talking about Survivor South Africa, Season 8, Immunity Island, Episode 11. And what we said last week about Smash and Nicole being the swing vote came true this week. So, my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and I guess we're just Survivor oracles now because we saw it coming. Even though
Survivor
it's kind of,
Scholars, you could say.
yeah, Survivor Scholars. Wow, it's like the name all circles back. But, yeah, I feel like it was pretty obvious that that was going to end up happening, but it was good that it ended up happening, I think. There was a lot of discussion around, like, the cracks within the Six Alliance and whether or not people were going to, like, let that affect how they were playing the game. Whew, excuse me. So it was just interesting gameplay. I feel like this episode it wasn't as obvious who was gonna go home.
Exactly. And final 8, perfect time to start making those big moves, perfect time to start like flipping, switching if you are in the minority or if you are in the bottom of the majority, like we saw. So, if it was a straightforward vote of Smash or Nicole going home this time, I would have been so disappointed in the cast because it's like, yo, y'all can't see what's happening. So, at least this time there was some kind of divisions amongst the tribe and it wasn't just more of a straight pagonging. So I think like we'll talk about it with this episode, but coming up in the future episodes, it'll be really interesting to see, does the threesome of Warda, Tyson, and Kieran get broken up, or are they going to now like continue to pagong their way to the end?
Yeah. So I think future episodes will tell, as we always say in here. But it was definitely interesting to see that begin to happen. I guess the
Mm-hmm.
fracturing and one faction kind of taking control, so to speak.
So we start this episode off with a reward challenge. They are divided into 2 teams. You're throwing coconuts to then do a big puzzle. The orange teams, it was like a schoolyard pick, but orange is Kieran, Smash, Anesu, and Santoni. The green tribe is Tyson, Chappies, Warda, and Nicole. And then we see Santoni later is really mad that she didn't get picked by Tyson in like the male, female opposite gender picking, the like a schoolyard pick. And I don't know, I just felt like it was so emotional that she was so angry that Tyson didn't pick her. And I'm like, personally, the whole point of the reward is to win, so you get food. I feel like it doesn't really matter what tribal lines that you're on as much as like an immunity challenge or something like that. And plus, if you're Tyson and you're on the green tribe or the green team, if you did pick Santoni, maybe your team wouldn't have won.
I feel like, yeah, the purpose of the reward is to win, but there's also social politics in play, you know? And I feel like Santoni has always been kind of an emotional player, and the people on her alliance should know by now that she's like that. So I guess I agree with you that the point is to win, and I don't necessarily fault Tyson for his pick, but also if he's in an alliance with Santoni, he should know that would be how she would react, I guess. And he should maybe consider whether that's her reaction is worth the extra food that they would have gotten, especially because it's not necessarily the case that they would have lost if Santoni was on their team instead of Nicole, you know?
Oh
So,
my gosh, we are on the same wavelength. I literally wrote in my notes like it's a misunderstanding of how of an emotional player that she is, because I feel like everyone else on the team, they have to like continuously babysit her and she seems to get set off or become angry very easily. So yeah, like you were saying, is it worth it because you know she's an emotional player that she could get angered by this choice of picking Nicole? And also, you could argue if it is for food, like this challenge was, you don't want Nicole to get more food. She just went on the water park reward last week. She got that food. If she's getting more food, she might win the next immunity challenge, and that's detrimental for your people if you consider it to like vote her out next time. So, like, I get that, but yeah, I think like playing with an emotional player like that can get angered by a little thing of not picking you in a schoolyard pick is just so hard to play with. I feel like we see Chappies, we don't see him getting mad that he was picked last too. Smash was picked over Chappies, and so in the grand scheme of things, not really a big deal.
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those things where it is the way Santony is. I'm kind of surprised that that never led to discussion of like, oh, maybe we should vote her out because she's playing so emotionally, blah 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 blah. Especially because I guess Anesu agreed with her that like, oh, you should have definitely picked you. So
Maybe it'll come up next time because it does seem like people might be getting fed up with it, but also people are realizing that they want to sit next to Santony at the end because she's an emotional player, because she's flip floppy, because she's untrustworthy. People think that they could win against her at the end. So maybe that's why people are not voting her out because of it, but willing to like babysit her and willing to comfort her 100 million times, like we've seen in recent episodes. People continuously having to say, oh, you're good, don't worry, you're not at the bottom, like you're good, and having that reassurance. But I think it's got to be hard to play with people like that.
yeah, and so I wonder sometimes like when do you cut your losses? Because yeah, she might be a good partner to have at the final tribal council, but is it really worth all the stress?
Guess we have to ask the people on the island. I think it would be really stressful and like hard because if someone does get angered, you like you're there's no coming back from that. Santony has a lot of nemesis.
Nemesis.
Yeah, too many of them.
Yeah, so I guess it's just we'll see with that. I think the interesting thing about the reward challenge, other than like the fallout, was they were talking about how like oh relationships change on the island. It's going to be really interesting to see the evolution of relationships on the season, and like I wish that we had seen more of evolution of relationships because I feel like sometimes like we're just randomly told that two people have been working together forever and it's just like wait these two people are close what's going on, so I feel like there's sometimes where I wish that we had seen more of the evolution of relationships, like why did people decide to become alliance mates and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the editing, it's just people in confessional saying, oh, I hate this person, or oh, Anesu's untrustworthy, so we need to vote her out. But like we never really saw why would Anesu be untrustworthy. We've never seen her really break anyone's trust. So that was like the main reason she was the target this episode because Kieran Tyson said, oh, she's untrustworthy, but I personally don't remember seeing a reason why everyone would think she's like untrustworthy or loose lipped or something.
Yeah, I don't remember that either, which is kind of like confusing because they tell us things that I feel like we should know and then it's like we never hear about it until it's immediately relevant. And I
Mm.
think that's kind of like bad storytelling because they don't like leave hints behind. Like we can go back to a different episode and say, "Oh, she did this thing here." So,
It's like when the teacher tells you something and then you just have to accept it because like the teacher has the authority and you're not supposed to question them. So it's like, oh, we can't question why she's untrustworthy. We just have to accept the fact that she is untrustworthy.
yeah, so that makes it harder I feel like to tell where this season is going. Like I feel like we're close to the end and I still don't really have a clue of who would win, you know?
Tyson from the first episode saying he was the winner. He didn't get voted out this time. He's on the roll to make it to the end.
And doesn't he still have an idol as well?
I don't think so.
I thought he had
But
an idol. Oh. I can never keep track of these things, especially because I feel like I don't pay attention as much when their name pops up on screen now because I know their names, finally. But yeah,
you don't see the little graphic anymore.
yeah, exactly.
So we go at the reward challenge. Green wins. So that is the Tyson, Chappies, Warda, Nicole group. And so the winners of this reward, they get to go drive a test car and then they go and eat a bunch of food on a hill. And so I sort of wish this challenge it was set up not just oh the foursome winner team they get to go and drive this car test it out, but I wish after that green team won the foursome would compete in another challenge and then the winner of that, so the top number one person would then win a car. And I wish they did like the car curse kind of thing, where if you win a car, you never win the game. Or maybe they could win a car and then give a car to a friend or something to make it more drama filled, because I'm like, oh, you're just test driving this car. Is that going to make you buy this car after the show? Like, they didn't even
It's
tell us
just
anything.
obvious product placement.
Yeah, they didn't
So
tell us anything cool about the car. Like, how are the seats? How are the driving? They went over terrain. Like, who is buying this car after the show? No one.
they need it. Applebee's is my favorite sit down restaurant, but like for this car.
Yeah, we needed a confessional from Nicole saying how nice driving the car was, how good it was, but it's like, we just saw the outside.
Yeah, we didn't even see them like get in and get buckled. Like if it was an advertisement, it was a very bad advertisement in my opinion.
Yeah, like at least last week with the water park, we saw them on the slides. Like, that looked fun. We just saw the camera shot of a car driving away. They might not have even been driving the car. So I do wish they did something more with this and gave away a car for free or something, or like two people got cars and the winner got to pick someone else, and then a bunch of people were all pissed off because they didn't win a car, and then they voted the people out that won cars.
Yeah, that would be fun. But it's not what happened. It's fine.
Could have been so much more drama. It would have been so good.
Yeah.
So we go back to camp. We see that Smash and Nicole are indeed the swing votes. They're probably not getting voted out this week. It would sort of be bad if you did just keep going straight down the line to vote them out, because as a twosome pair, they aren't really that threatening, and you should be bringing them into your minority or majority, trying to get them to vote with you. So, like we saw, it's sort of a 3 versus 3 this episode, with Tyson, Kieran, Warda versus Anesu, Chappies, and Santoni. We saw that split coming up after last week's episode. And what was interesting, we saw this episode, Tyson and Kieran, they promised Smash a final 3, saying, oh yeah, we'll get rid of Warda. She's just going to be a vote for us. But yes, Smash, you are indeed our final 3. For Anesu's pitch to Smash, saying that, oh, come vote with us, Smash. And Smash had a confessional saying, oh, if he goes with Anesu, he won't get the credit. But if he goes with Tyson, he will get the credit for the move.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of what ended up making his choice for him. Like that seemed to me to be like the deciding factor, was when you're making moves like this, you want to be able to take credit for them, especially as final tribal council is getting closer. So I don't know. At final or at tribal, they seem to talk about how like, oh, you want to get rid of the swing votes because there are more people that you can't account for. But I really agree with you that like at this point in time, the other members of their alliance are more dangerous to them than the swing votes are.
Yeah, if it's a final 2, there's 4 people in an alliance or so. Can't bring all these people to the end. But I do wonder, in terms of the getting credit versus not getting credit thing, would you say if he goes with Anesu, he could also get the credit? Or if he goes with the Tyson group, he could also get the credit there? Because as the swing vote, whichever side you pick, it's your choice. And whichever side you pick is the way that the votes will fall. And then the other side loses and you're with the winning side. Would you not get credit by going either way because you are the swing? Or reverse to that, is it because you are the swing vote? Is it actually 0 credit because you should be crediting the Anesu, the Tyson, Kieran, the people that brought you to their side? Would those be the people getting credit? And because you are the swing, you're like not getting credit because people are persuading you to do a certain thing.
Yeah, and I guess that was what was like a little confusing for me. Like, why did he think that he would get credit for one side but not for the other?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like you said, no matter who it is, if you make the right argument, you can argue that, like, oh, Smash only voted with us because I was the one who persuaded him, you know? So I
Yeah.
guess I personally am of the mind that it's like it's the people who did the persuading that deserve the credit in swing vote moves, just because it's like being the swing vote normally means that you're actually on the bottom. And so it's like acting like you have a lot of power when really it's just you're on the bottom. Like it's one of those things where it's like a paradox because you're both the most powerful and the least powerful player in the game. So, yeah.
I agree. So it's like interesting that he would pick the Tyson side because it does seem like he picked that side because he would get the credit for voting out Anesu by flipping and going with the Tyson Kieran crew. But yeah, I don't know. I think either way he could have worded it in a way that would get him the credit. Like, I am the leader, I am the decision maker in this position because I made it so that one side could vote out the other side. That could be a final tribal council speech. Or say, if it's like Tyson and Smash at Final Tribal, Tyson could easily say, no, Smash, you weren't the leader, you weren't the powerful one on that pivotal vote to vote out Anesu because we fake promised you a final three. We like saying sweet nothings in your ear. It wasn't you, but it was us and our power of persuasion, giving you things and telling you things that we thought that you wanted to hear to bring you onto our side. So I think it could be like said both ways who gets the credit, but I also feel like I agree with you with the swing votes are the like most wishy-washy people that they aren't so securely in a side. But also you could say as a swing vote, if you're purposefully playing the swing and you're not just the wishy-washy person, if you can purposefully be the middle and ride the middle and not get caught for it, that's a hard gameplay to play because people don't like that and they would want to vote you out and they can tell that you're like wishy-washy and not fully on one side. So I think it does depend, and I think it depends on how you word it and how you phrase it and how other people perceive you.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to perception. And so in that case, it might be like who has more friends on the jury who are more likely to believe them. So,
That's why, yeah, for Smash, it's like he has basically the whole jury is his old alliance right now. Nicole is probably going to get voted out. Like, they have a lot of people from their original grouping team tribe on the jury. So it's like, I feel like either way, Smash could have gotten credit for this vote because he has a lot of friends over on the jury.
yeah, so it was kind of a strange justification. It does make me wonder if there was something else that happened behind the scenes, but we won't know. Or maybe we'll find out next week in a previously on. Who knows?
So going into the immunity challenge, this is a swimming challenge. You can choose to sit out and eat spaghetti bolognese, or you can choose to stay and play and compete in this swimming challenge. And it's funny because in all of the preseason interviews with RHAP, basically everyone said that they would never sit out for any kind of food offering. And then we see basically everyone sit out here. So I guess sitting out versus playing the challenges, it really does depend how much you think you can win that challenge versus would it be better for you to sit out and get sustenance, food for a future challenge that maybe you have a better chance of winning.
Yeah, and I guess when it came down to it, the only people that ended up competing were Chappies and Nicole. And I guess it's Chappies water swim, whatever. So, like, he's Aquaman. And so, if you're competing against Aquaman in a swimming challenge, like, maybe it does make sense to sit out. But I guess it's one of those things where if you could see fractures forming in your alliance, like, why would you voluntarily give up your chance at immunity, you know? So I feel like it's one of those things where, like, maybe people were really hungry and didn't think they had a chance of winning, but like, shouldn't you at least try? And so I feel like it's also one of those things where since Nicole was the only person to go up against Chappies, that gives her a lot of brownie points. When like if maybe two or three other people had gone up against Chappies, then Nicole wouldn't be the like spotlight, like, oh, you were the only one brave enough to go against him. So I guess I was like Nico, I was kind of disappointed at the amount of people who sat out.
Oh my gosh. Or like TJ from the challenge berating the people for not trying or like throwing challenges in the challenge TV show. But
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's that the people that sat out thought they had 0% chance of ever winning this against Chappies. Makes sense for someone like Santoni to sit out because she's had the like traumatic experiences in the water on Survivor. Probably no way she's going to want to do more swimming if she doesn't have to. That kind of thing makes sense. Other people might not be good at swimming. They know that they're not going to beat Chappies, so might as well sit out kind of thing. But yeah, so I guess does that bring up the question for Anesu, who ends up getting voted out this episode? Is this a 1 million rand challenge that she sat out of? I feel like yes and no, because she said she's really good at swimming, but maybe she's not as good as Chappies. But if you're sitting out, you're losing the game.
Yeah, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take or whatever. So, I don't know. Maybe this is one of those decisions that haunts her, but it could have been that she doesn't win anyway. But I guess it's one of those things where if she's gonna go to Ponderosa anyway, or do they call it Ponderosa in South Africa?
Oh, I
If
have no idea.
if she goes to the Ponderosa equivalent anyway, like she's gonna get a hot meal either way. So
Yeah, I guess you never know because it wasn't the route that played out this episode and it wasn't the choices that people made. But also, there are like millions of other choices that could have led to her downfall, or maybe the vote flipped and it led to someone else's downfall that sat out of the challenge. I thought it was interesting when Nico was explaining the challenge, there was only 4 water platforms set up. And so I was like, oh, there's 8 people here. Are they going to do 2 heats and 4 people will go each time? How did they know that only for at least like max 4 people would be playing the game to only set up 4 water stations? What if 5 or 6 people did it? 2 heats then, and then you time it? That's so weird.
I assumed that they would have done 2 heats, or maybe, like you said, they anticipated that a lot of people would sit out. So
Everyone wants the spaghetti bolognese, apparently. I thought it was interesting when they were like, oh, you can now communicate who's going to sit out, who's going to play. Like, I wonder if they let them communicate and strategize, like, oh, all 8 people were going to be talking, and Chappies raised his hand and was saying, oh, I'm going to be playing. And then everyone else, when Chappies said that, was like, OMG, no, I don't want to play. Or was it a blind vote where you have a rock and you show like the black rock if you're playing, the white rock if you're going to sit out? And so it's a blind vote, like no one knows who is going to compete and who is not going to compete. But maybe it was the case that only Chappies was going to compete after the blind vote. And then after that, Nico is like, no, someone has to compete against Chappies. We aren't going to just let him do this challenge alone. So then they talked about it. But it did really seem like Nicole was forced or persuaded to do the challenge because no one else wanted to go against Chappies.
I don't know though, because I feel like if no one else goes against him, he just wins immunity automatically. They each get a bowl of spaghetti, and that's what it is, you know? I feel like forcing someone to compete against him just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's why I feel like if it was just Chappies, they should have just let him swim the challenge alone. He could go as slow or as fast as he wanted. But from the way that the whole tribe and like Nicole were talking, they were like, she was like, oh, I don't know how I got persuaded into doing this challenge. Like, there was no way I was going to beat him, kind of thing. So it did feel like no one wanted to compete against him. And then Nico probably said something and made them all chat and forced someone to go in, which I'm like, just let him compete alone. Nicole should get spaghetti if she didn't want to play.
Yeah. So, yeah. But as the winner, Chappies also got to pick who goes to Immunity Island and gets the coveted immunity idol that was hidden on Immunity Island. And he picks Santony, who goes to Immunity Island.
Yeah, she chooses to stay and play, obviously, to look for the idol. I thought it would have been funny if she couldn't find the idol, but she does get the idol. The game that she has to play, it's a snake maze where you could win a fire idol, but if you lose the snake maze, then you lose half of your money for the auction, which is happening next episode. So the fire idol, it is where you force the people with the most votes at tribal council to go and make fire to stay in the game. I thought this was an interesting advantage, and I wonder if the person who goes to Immunity Island next week, will they get the chance to play for this fire idol, or will there be some other kind of advantage there? That'll be interesting. I feel like it's sort of like a super idol where you can play the fire idol after the votes are read, but it's not a 100% guarantee that you're going to stay in the game because you still need to do a fire challenge and beat the person you're sitting next to, which I feel like is interesting. So maybe it's more like a Michelle Fitzgerald 50-50 coin where you flip it where you're not 100% safe, but you're also not 0% safe if you didn't have an advantage.
Well, I feel like it's better than a 50-50 coin because it's like you know who is better at fire, presumably. And so, like, maybe you try to persuade the majority to vote for the minority member who is the best at fire, and you, the minority, try to vote at the majority member who is least best at fire. And so that way you kind of like stack the odds in your favor. So,
I guess that's an interesting way to play it. I was thinking you could play it like if Santoni did get it this week, she was the person that's going to get voted out this episode. She plays this fire idol, and because you usually like split the votes or something, or another person would get the second highest number of votes, say like Santoni got 5 votes and then someone else got 3 votes, so that's the 8 people, then Santoni would play this and be like, oh, I'm not going home, not yet. But then her versus the 3 vote person getter, they would go to fire, and then it would be like, oh, sucks for the person that the vote got split on because they could end up going home.
yeah, I guess it just depends on how it's used, but I feel like you could use it strategically. Like it's not just a coin flip, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's better than a coin flip because it's less 50-50 unless you suck at fire, which some people don't practice before going out there. Then maybe it's worse than a 50-50 coin because you suck at fire, but it's less good than a 100% safe idol. But also you could say a real idol isn't as good because you don't know when to play it, and if you don't play it correctly or if you play it incorrectly, it's a 0%. You aren't good at playing it, or you aren't good at thinking of when you should play it. So at least this is something you play it after the votes are read, so you should be playing it if you're the person that's going to go home, or if Nico is reading votes and maybe it's split like Chappies versus Tyson and you just couldn't get enough votes to get Tyson out and Chappies is the person, maybe you play it then, so you want to save Chappies if you're Santoni.
Yeah. So that was interesting. She didn't win it though, so I do wonder if it'll come back, like you said, because it seems like one of those things that production was really proud of themselves for thinking up. Santoni was like, I don't know why I played this game. The fire idol would have actually helped me, and it's like you could have just said not to play the game, but okay. So
Yeah, if she didn't stay and play, she wouldn't have been able to find the real idol, so I feel like she didn't care about not winning the fire idol, it seemed, but she cared about losing her auction money.
yeah, I do like the confirmation that there's gonna be an auction though. So
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for next week because US Survivor, we never get an auction anymore, but it does seem like maybe everyone is going to hold out for a prize or an advantage. So if they do auctions, I feel like they should say, oh, there is no prize, there is no advantage. It's just food. I want to see people fight over food for the drama.
yeah, that would be fun. But I feel like one of the good things about Santony only having half her money is that she knows she's not going to win whatever the big advantage is. So,
So she'll buy food, or if there's like letters or something, which shall be interesting. And I do want to see the fire idol be given out to someone. I want to see that played out because, yeah, like you were saying, I do think production is probably like, OMG, this is the coolest thing. US Survivor is going to use something like this now too, which honestly I could see happen. Fire idol, fire tokens, they're like sisters.
sure.
So we see that the fake out plan, everyone is saying, oh, Tyson, Kieran, Warda, Anesu, Santoni, Chappies, us 6, we are voting for Smash. That's the fake out plan though, because Tyson, Kieran, Warda are actually voting for Anesu. Anesu, Santoni, and Chappies are voting for Tyson. So it's sort of like a little fight between the two of the power heads of this one alliance. And so like we were mentioning Smash before, he maybe wants to go with the Tyson Kieran group because they promised him final 3. Kudos to Tyson and Kieran for giving that kind of like gift to Smash, like, oh, promising him final three, whether it's true or whether it's false, and they're going to backstab him is up to see in the future. I think that'll be interesting. But I do wonder, how did Smash get Nicole to flip? Because even in the episode, Tyson and Kieran were saying, oh, it's going to be 4 versus 3. Santoni doesn't have a vote. The 3 being Nicole is going to vote with the Santoni, Chappies, Anesu side of things. So I do wonder, good on Smash for getting Nicole to flip, but I do want to know how he like persuaded her to do so.
I wonder if it was something to do with the reward or something, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting though because Tyson was like the. I know that Smash is the fake out plan because I'm not voting for Smash. Like it, it felt kind of dumb to have a fake out plan when it seemed like no one actually believed the fake out.
Everyone was just like BSing each other with this fake plan. And it was weird. Nicole said, we saw in a confessional, that she liked what Anesu was selling her more than what the other side was selling her. She thought Anesu talked with her more personably, like she wanted to go with the Anesu side. But Nicole, good episode as well. She had another confessional saying that she wants to go to the end of the game with Santoni and Chappies. I thought that was a good read because I don't know though. I feel like Nicole could beat Santoni and Chappies because she has so many friends on the jury, depending on if people think she actually knows how to play the game, kind of thing. And good for Smash for getting Nicole to flip so they keep that friendship bond together from their OG tribe.
I think that Nicole could probably beat Santoni. I'm not sure if she could beat Chappies because I feel like they're kind of two sides of the same coin. Where Nicole is really personable but doesn't know how to play, whereas Chappies like doesn't seem as well liked, but he knows how to play the game.
I agree, which it does seem like maybe Chappies would be like higher on the win equity totem pole over like Nicole. Santoni would be maybe closer to the bottom depending who they're sitting next to, because it does seem like the jury, their fans, they would vote for someone who has played the game more than the other person, even if they're friends with the other person.
Yeah, I guess it really does come down to the jury in that case. So I guess I personally don't see Nicole versus Chappies ever happening as a final two, but if it does, it would be interesting to see who won.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's fan fiction, probably never going to happen in the circumstances that we're seeing in this game right now. If you played the game 100 times with the same characters, maybe that could be one of the outcomes. But we go to tribal council. It seemed like a lot of people were fake acting, saying we're staying tribe strong, we're sticking together, OG lines forever, Nicole or Smash are going home this week, ha ha ha. And it seemed like their acting was too good because the camera kept cutting to the jury and they were all like, WTF. They're making the like face. They were like hands in the like hands to your face palming, because they were so confused what was happening. So maybe their acting was a little too far, because the jury perception is a reality. They're going to think it was OG Tribe Strong until they saw the vote and maybe talk to Anesu at Ponderosa.
Yeah, like I feel like maybe if you're one of the people sitting on the end, like throw a jury member a wink or something so they know that you're acting. Just because, like you said, jury perception does mean a lot. And if they're really confused, that's not going to help you.
Yeah, especially because it seemed like a lot of them were like, WTF, you all are so dumb. Why are you sticking 6 strong versus 2? Like, what are you all doing? So maybe their acting was a little bit too good, but it was interesting. Both Anesu and the Tyson Kieran side, they both thought that they had Smash and Nicole's vote. So good on Smash and Nicole for like bluffing who they're actually voting for. That Anesu side was so confident that they had their vote when they really didn't, which is interesting. Like, were there little things there that Anesu and Chappies and Santoni could have picked up on, that they didn't really have the 2 extra votes in Smash or Nicole to have the vote go their way. Everyone on that side was so confident. Anesu didn't play her tribal council pass. Santoni didn't play the idol that she just found. So I do want to know, like, why weren't they tipped off?
I mean, it could also just be that Smash and Nicole didn't decide until the last minute, which I think like maybe probably isn't super likely because Smash seemed like he had his mind made up earlier, but like maybe there was nothing to tip them off, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the outcome, I guess, but I'm like, I do want to know, like, why were they all so confident that they had the vote when they didn't have Smash and Nicole's vote in actuality?
I mean, it could just be that they also overstated their own social game. Because I feel like a lot of people were saying that Anesu was a very social player, and so maybe that's
Mm.
it. So,
Yeah, I'm like, those little things. It'd be interesting to know, because it's like, how do you not make that mistake if you played again, or how do you not make that mistake if you're a new player? Like, are there warning signs that you should have been looking out for, or like in your gut, did you hear little things happening that maybe you should have flipped, or maybe you should have realized that these people weren't actually with you? Like, for future players, I'm like, oh, how do you know?
yeah, and I guess like it really does come down to your gut, where sometimes your gut is right, but sometimes your gut is wrong. So,
So for Smash, for Nicole, Alyssa, do you think this was a good move for them?
the thing is, I feel like neither of them can win against Tyson. I feel like there's a chance that one of them could win against Anesu. And I feel like the problem is they're running out of chances to get rid of Tyson. So I feel like if they're going to now be super loyal to Tyson, that's going to be the problem because they can't win against Tyson.
Okay, I agree. I feel like for Smash, at least, it seems like Nicole is just there, sort of like a non factor right now. So, at least for Smash, since he's the one that convinced Nicole to go with the Tyson Kieran group, Smash is the one that got the final 3 deal from them. I think moving forward next week, the next few weeks, for Smash, I think it really depends how true Kieran and Tyson are to that final 3 deal that they made. Like, it must have been really convincing that they got Smash to vote with them tonight. Or I'm thinking, if you were Smash and Nicole, I think a smart thing could be next week you flip to the Chappie Santoni side, 4 versus 3, and you vote out Tyson, Kieran, or Warda, and you flip back to that side after you voted out Anesu. Like, you could say, oh, she was maybe in the middle, so let's just vote with Tyson this week. But oh, next week we're going to flip to Chappies and Santoni. I think that would be a good idea, especially after we saw Nicole this episode say that she wants to go to the end with Chappies and Santoni. Sticking with them as a foursome could give Nicole and Smash a higher chance of winning versus, like you were saying, they're probably not going to win against Tyson, Kieran, maybe even Warda in that group. And Nicole and Smash can compete with Chappies in physical challenges, versus if Nicole and Smash are going against Tyson and Kieran, that's more of like, they're all really good at challenges. It would be harder to beat them. So maybe going and flipping with the Chappie Santoni crew would be better for them.
Yeah, I feel like it's just one of those things where they can't flip back and forth too much, otherwise they risk like being voted out because right now they're not being voted out because they're more convenient than like they would be if they got voted out. Like having someone to vote with you is more convenient than having an easy vote. So I feel like as long as they like decide to flip against Tyson and stick with that decision rather than like flipping back and forth, that would be better.
Yeah, which is a little bit tricky, because I can see after this vote, Chappie Santoni, they were blindsided, and their girl Anesu got voted out. I could see Santoni coming back to camp even more angry, kind of thing, and she's going to be pissed off at Tyson and Kieran and Warda, and then they're going to sort of alienate themselves into a twosome, which then also gives Smash and Nicole all of the power again to decide, do they want to go with a threesome, or do they want to go with the Chappies Santoni twosome and create a foursome. So I don't know. I feel like Smash is smart and he would know. I like it really depends. Are you going to flip on the three? I think if you vote out Tyson and Kieran, you're going to have a really good resume because it does seem like a lot of people pinpoint those two as the two people to vote out, as the two people to beat. So it really just depends when are you going to vote them out. And if you're actually going to vote them out, who knows? Maybe Smash does actually want to go to final three with them.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to see. One thing that is worth noting is that Anesu, before she left, gave her tribal council pass to Chappies. I didn't know that was legal, but I guess
Ugh.
maybe she did it like as she was leaving, and so it wasn't like she was asking to bequeath it. Like she literally handed the thing to him, and maybe someone else saw that. That would be a fun little plot twist.
Is
But
that not illegal though? I feel like that's against the rules because she got voted out when she was hugging Chappies, when she had the little caption saying, take my tribal council pass. And then Chappies has the sub caption thing there saying, oh, I'll revenge you, don't worry, kind of thing. So it's like, you can't give someone an advantage after you're already voted out because it's after Nico read the votes. So shouldn't the advantage be null or void? It's sort of like, I don't know. If you gave it to him before the votes were read, fine, because you're still in the game. But once Nico says you're voted out, sure, your torch isn't snuffed yet, but like you're dead in the water. You're not in the game anymore because he said you're voted out. Like you can't get the advantage should be dead too.
yeah, and I feel like that's like when we see people get voted out with like idols in their pockets, they don't pass them on. So I wonder if this is something that production will address like tomorrow, not tomorrow, next week, or whether it's just like a non-issue and they decided to let it be. So
Yeah, and even maybe if she left the advantage back at camp, but Chappies knew like where it was hidden, but even then that advantage is void because technically it's in Anesu's possession. Anesu is voted out. Like it's dead. Like you can't go and dig it up and call it yours now. I feel like it's sort of like if you have an idol and you hide it in a crappy spot and someone else finds it, they can't steal your idol because they found it. It's still yours. Or if they find an idol in your bag, they can't steal it because it's yours. So she got voted out with this advantage. She can't just pass it on because the advantage is dead.
I guess that's what I also think, but maybe the Survivor South Africa producers think differently.
Oh my gosh, Alyssa, if it is true that this advantage is still playable, I'm like, this is not in the rules. We have never seen anyone bequeath an idol or advantage after they're voted out.
Yeah. So that's one of the things we'll have to look out for next week. In the comments down below, let us know. Do you think that this tribal council pass is valid or not? Do you think that this was a good move for Smash and Nicole? Who do you think is going to win the game? Because I guess Anesu was a pretty popular winner pick up until now. Let us know that and any other thoughts that you have in the comments down below. As always, we love to hear from you guys.